Greetings, Barbara E. Ringrose here. I'm the co-creator on Optimize Her². You found us here on YouTube, along with LaQuincia Nichols. She is the founder of her business, experience-coaching.com. I'm the founder of wildwomenus.com. And we have with us some returning guests. In our segment 1, we spoke with Sandy Soyke and Julie Mulhern all about crystals. This is a beautiful reminder that sometimes the smallest tools can create powerful awareness and connection. And that's what crystals do. So as Quincy and I bring our guests on, I'd like to first introduce Quincy from Surprise, Arizona, to talk to you and introduce our guests.
I'm so excited to be here today, everyone. I think one of the great things about our show is that we're constantly looking for women who can educate, elevate, and empower us. And Barbara and I really get to continue to sit in the learner seat today as Sandy and Julie really take us through. We went through the crystals, but now it's about the Reiki and the chakras. And how does all this come together? So now that we're shifting into something big, which will really bring us to a deeper, more level understanding of energy. But what I've learned is that we're really just starting to crack the code with this. So, Julie, as we get started with something that you said about earlier in our earlier segment about, going to this point of feeling maybe a little bit disconnected, right? Going through some life changes. And now you're in the space of Reiki and chakras. Tell us a little bit more about that. How did you feel disconnected from yourself?
Yeah, so I'm going to get a little personal here. I went through a divorce in 2018, and it was a really tough experience. It was a big change, and I had 2 young boys at the time. And going through such a transition like that when you've been so comfortable for so long is jarring. It definitely messes with your mind and your body and your health and all those things. So I had a little, I guess I call them light bulb moments, right? Those moments where you're just like, I know what I need to do here. And I had one of those light bulb moments where I came to that realization that if I was not okay, if I mentally was not able to get through this and be okay and still show up every day as my best, then my boys weren't going to be okay. And they were my first priority. So I just dove into some things and I went on this mission I need to learn how to be my absolute best self despite what I've been going through. And that's really where the journey started for me.
So you were disconnected from self. Some people can be disconnected from family members or whatever that disconnection could mean to someone. Of course, for each of us, it's very personal, and it can mean something totally different from one person to another. So I think Quincy and I were talking, and in the past, I do Reiki, and we also talked about Reiki, whether it's an in-person type thing or it is something you can do over the phone. So I think Quincy had some questions about what are the Reiki basics then?
Yeah, I think even too, just like, coming from a place of first, what is Reiki, right? I think we hear it. Do we understand it? And then can I do it remotely? Do I need to be in person? Like, sort of, what are your thoughts on that? But first, I think, what is Reiki so we can understand? Yeah.
Absolutely. So Reiki is actually a Japanese relaxation technique. The whole idea behind Reiki is it puts you in a state where your parasympathetic nervous system goes into play, right? That's when you're able to rest and digest as opposed to living in like that survival mode where you're kind of feeling go, go, go. So Reiki is all about kind of activating that parasympathetic nervous system, getting you in that really deep state of relaxation. It's where your body can do its very, very best healing, is when you're in that state. And that's what Reiki aims to do, is get you in that state and work with your energy centers. I know we're going to be getting into the chakras a little bit later, but to get those chakras nice and aligned so your energy is just flowing. When your energy is flowing, that's when you're feeling your best, looking your best, performing your best. And that's really what Reiki aims to do.
So when we talked about crystals, we learned a lot about them. We talked about vibration, energy, location, like out where Quincy is in Arizona. She has all these amazing rocks out there surrounding her. So Sandy, when you also teach about chakras and you wrote a book about chakras, so how do Reiki, chakras, crystals, and that energy healing all come together?
Well, the crystals are used in Reiki because your body is made up of 7 chakras, and each chakra has a different color. Each chakra has a different meaning. And I start from the head to the sacrum. A lot of people in a lot of books start from the sacrum up, but you don't look at your butt first. So that's why when I wrote my book, I started with the
That's
chakras.
the entertainment piece here,
Right.
folks.
Yeah. So I started from the head down and worked that way down. But and I use the crystals when I do my Reiki too, just like Julie does. And I've also started using sound, which is another whole topic. But yeah, you just have to make sure that the crystals that you use are the crystals that go with each chakra.
So what are chakras?
Chakras are your energy fields. They're in your body.
Okay.
And that's what's misaligned when you're not feeling well. Like I experience a lot of headaches. So Julie is forever telling me that something's not too much, but sometimes stuff is unaligned, and she realigns everything with the Reiki. I don't do Reiki on myself, even though I could, but I have done it on other people, and I have even done it long distance. My granddaughter actually lives in Ohio, and she had to take her LSATs to get into law school.
Yes.
And I was telling Julie that I did Reiki, long distance Reiki on her, and she passed her test. So I was real happy about that. Yeah. But it's just realigning everything, making the person that you're doing it on relaxed enough to do that. Because if they come in and they don't, first of all, they don't believe, or they don't think it's going to work, it's not going to work.
Right.
But you have to align them and give them the energy that they need to align their chakras and walk out of there with everything feeling good instead of just discombobulated again.
So I heard the 7 are the main chakras. And Julie, when I come to see you, the last visit we had, you said, wow, you're like in perfect alignment. And I'm listening to Sandy, and I talked to both of you ladies about this from time to time. So just using me, for instance, to better explain to people, our viewers here today, what did you mean by that as compared to what?
Yeah. So your example specifically, Barbara, at that moment in time, so energy can shift constantly, right? You can be in one energy space one day, and the next day energy can shift very, very, very quickly based on experiences, different situations, things that happen. When you came to see me and I had said these were the best I had ever seen your chakras look, what that was telling me is your mind, your body, your spirit are in alignment. Like you are doing exactly what you should be doing. You're in a good, healthy space mentally. You're taking care of your body. You're filling up your soul. I guess you can kind of call it like your soul cup, So wherever you were in life at that exact moment just felt right. And like I was saying, experiences happen. People have a bad day at work. People get cut off in traffic. That quickly your energy can shift and become out of alignment. It can trigger you to then, burst out with sudden emotions, maybe anger, maybe this, maybe that. Reiki and chakras are very much about becoming aware where you're feeling those things happening, being able to recognize it, being able to regulate it, and then being able to proceed in action maybe differently than you did before, and stop like some of these repeating patterns and things of that nature.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes perfectly good sense. I'm sorry, Quincy, you were going to say something.
Well, I was just going to say, to me, it's like I'm really enjoying the conversation because it's bringing different things I've heard over here and over here and over here, right? And so I guess my next question is, especially for our viewer who may be unwilling to ask or maybe even put in the comments. So if you are listening, please put your questions below so we can cycle back to them. But sometimes I hear people say, oh, your aura seems off. Is that my chakras or is it something different? Like, what is that?
May I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
Have you ever walked into a room filled with people? They don't have to say a word, but you walk into this room and something just doesn't feel right.
Yes.
yeah.
That is the energy that people are putting off.
Mm.
And that is your intuition. That is your brow, or what they call your third eye chakra, speaking to you saying, Quincy, something isn't right. And you should maybe leave.
Gotcha.
So when you hear people saying that, that is what they're speaking to, is that kind of sixth sense we all have. Maybe some can tap into it a little bit better than others. It depends on, how kind of open, how kind of self-aware you are. But that's what is happening, essentially, when you're hearing that.
You'll be able to feel that more, especially at holistic events.
Yes.
Because you'll walk. I've been to so many of those, selling my books, selling my crystals and stuff like that. But when you walk into those places, you can feel their energy and the auras. Like you were talking about the auras. When I went to my last holistic conference, one of the ladies there said, "You have a beautiful aura," and I said, "I know, it's blue, right?" And she goes, "Yep." Because she could see it, and then she did the test on me. She says, "Well, let me go ahead and do it anyway." I said, "Okay." So she did the test, and of course, it was all shades. And I'm like, "Oh, okay." But that's part of your intuition. That's part of what drives you and what keeps you from doing things that are wrong, or keeps you away from certain people because they're, I wouldn't say evil, but they're not on the same wavelength as you are. So, and it all has to do with your intuition and how you feel around those people, and how your alignment is feeling, how your chakras are feeling. You can definitely tell if you're in tune with your body that something's misaligned. I can tell it as soon as I go to Julie and say, "Okay, I can tell you this is going on," and and sure enough, my chakra was out of wacko and has been for a while, but because of my surgery and stuff. But it's how you feel. It's how you feel when you walk into a room. You can sense people that you don't want to be around, that make you feel bad. You can just sense that, and you need to leave because they're going to mess with your aura, mess with your chakras. You need to get out of there. But yeah, it's very easy to tell, especially at those events, because you're surrounded by goodness.
Or if it's, I was going to say, or if that energy is positive, it can work both ways. I've definitely had the sense. I've had it since I was a teenager. Some people say I should be a medium and give readings. I say I hear from dead people enough. That's okay. Yeah, I'll let Sandy and Julie help me when I have my needs and so forth, and that's good enough for me. But what changes do you see in women when they begin doing this kind of inner work? And either Sandy or Julie, what do you see with women? Julie, for instance, you gave that disconnected piece, but do you see the women growing stronger when you work with them, ladies, and either one of you can speak up to that?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And I feel like what it is that I'm seeing is a heightened level of self-awareness with these women. It's not necessarily, oh, I'm seeing them here, or I'm seeing this, or I'm seeing that. But what I am seeing is them becoming more open to, remember when we were talking about this during my last session, around my solar plexus chakra, you were talking about, maybe it has to do with boundaries or this or that. I recognized when I was, having a pattern of, I started to feel like I was being disrespected. I felt it in my body, right in my stomach, where you said I would feel it. And instead of doing what I would normally do, which is keep my mouth shut and back up, I decided to stand in my power and say, you know what? No, I'm not okay with that. Like, that's the sort of thing that I see. That's what drives me. That's why I do what I do. That's why I get really energized when I'm even talking about this sort of thing. It's that heightened level of self-awareness, because it's only when you have a really firm grip on who you are at your most authentic self, that you're really able to fix some patterns and make little adjustments in your life that will lead you to a better life and a better just overall well-being.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And you can tell when your chakras are aligned because your emotions are different. You're overwhelmed with these feelings of like you know what you're doing, you know what you're all about. When your chakras are in alignment, you can speak better to people. You don't let people fluster you as much as you used to. You have more energy because you're all in alignment. Let's see what else. You're not in bad moods. I mean, when that car cuts you off in traffic, you don't yell and scream and carry on anymore because you're in alignment. It's all
Right.
in how you feel. It makes you feel better knowing that you are in alignment and that you feel good about yourself. That's what's important. You have to feel good about yourself.
Yeah, and if I can just add to that too, like our bodies want to be in that state of what they call like homeostasis, that balance. We don't want to be too hot or too cold. We don't want to be mean, but we also don't want to be
A pushover.
too passive
Right.
or a
Right.
pushover.
For
So
sure.
our body is constantly needing to try and regulate when we feel like that pendulum is swinging too far in one direction. So it's about recognizing, oh, I kind of feel this coming on, and maybe it's a little strong. I'm going to try and reel that back in, or, oh, I'm starting to feel a little empty about this. I think I need to reel it back in and stand a little bit stronger here. But it's like the body's constant desire to be in that really balanced state.
Right.
Homeostasis, very well
Right.
put.
Right.
Yeah.
Because when you're not, you're sick. You don't feel good.
Yes. Right.
You need
Yeah.
help.
Yeah.
Wow.
So when you're feeling out of alignment, ladies, now that we're on that, when you're feeling out of alignment, what is your go-to with all of this knowledge, Sandy?
I go to Julie because
Okay.
I feel
That's funny.
like I know people can do it on themselves. I just feel like I get more out of the alignment if I have someone else do it on me. Because when you're trying to do it yourself, that you don't feel good, but you might not be feeling well enough to be able to align yourself. So I would much rather go to someone that I know and trust to be able to align me than to try and do it on myself. Now I do it on other people. And I do a great job and they have great results. But for me, myself, I would rather go to Julie and have her do it for me and make that way I know I'm getting what I need out of it instead of trying to do it on myself when I don't feel good, and I might not be doing it the right way because I don't feel good, or I might not getting that energy to myself because I don't feel good. So I feel much better let her do it.
Which I think, honestly, when I think about it, and when I think about us as practitioners or whatever sort of service we provide, oftentimes it does make good sense. When you can step in and sort of be the receiver and let someone pour in and support you, right? And when I think about Reiki now, I'm understanding like this deep practice of relaxation. Well, you can only be so relaxed if you still have to be actively involved in that healing,
Absolutely.
right?
That's how I feel.
Right.
That's how I feel.
Right.
Yep.
Mhm.
Right. And where I think you can kind of help yourself a little bit in those situations too, to also answer Barbara's question, if I am triggered, and I use that word very loosely because trigger could even mean, you come home and the kids left the air fryer dirty and now you have to clean it before you can cook dinner.
I'm triggered.
Yes.
Triggered.
I when I feel things like that coming on, I go through this whole little routine of, all right, Julie, don't say a word. You need to self-regulate first because I can feel it in my body. I'm feeling tense. I'm feeling that lump in my throat. I kind of want to be angry right now, but I know it's probably overreacting. So I really concentrate on trying to like regulate those emotions first, which is which is determining where I'm feeling this happening in my body. And sometimes I might just kind of put my hands in those areas and breathe for a minute. Then I like to journal it all out and just describe what happened, describe what I was feeling, describe everything that I feel like saying, but maybe I know I'm not ready to. And then I feel like once I kind of do that journaling piece, then I'm better equipped to then go address the issue in a nice, calm way that's going to be well received. So, it's like instead of the yelling, it's I got it all out. I figured out where it was happening. I kind of got it all out. And then I went and I was able to address it in a way that it was very productive, as opposed to, starting arguments or something like that. And I will tell you, I go back and sometimes read my journal entries and I'm like, thank goodness I did not speak in that moment when I was feeling that.
Yeah.
But journaling is a really great way for me to, I guess, be able to kind of look back and reflect and understand what was happening in my body and how I caught the pattern and changed the outcome with my actions.
So we all have toolboxes, whether you're a plumber or a coach or someone like myself who brings women together in what they do, or someone who's helping others with Reiki and crystal knowledge awareness. With the crystals, are there specific crystals or there perhaps specific processes that you would use when you're practicing Reiki on somebody to bring them back in alignment?
Yes, absolutely. So I guess if we're talking kind of at an introductory level, one good way you can determine which crystal might kind of work on which area of the body if you are working with a client, one of the many ways, by the way, is color. Like Sandy was saying a little bit earlier, our primary chakras from our crown to our root all have a different color.
Yeah.
So when all else fails, if there's something happening with that heart chakra, for instance, which is green, maybe you grab a green aventurine stone and you sit it there right on that chakra during the Reiki session to help open that area, to help bring awareness, to the client in that area, let them kind of explore what's happening in that area. So that's like one of many ways that you can use the crystals in those sessions as well.
And you can ask them
Aromatherapy.
questions too. So that helps too. If you ask them questions, like if they do come in and they're not feeling good in a particular area, then you know what crystal to pull to be able
Sure.
to use in that area.
So aromatherapy would be one. And Sandy, you mentioned something about sound earlier.
Yes, I have. I've taken. In fact, because of my surgeries, I have to complete it. But I've taken. I'm beginning a sound class, and each one of the crystal bowls, and I have a whole set. Each one of the crystal bowls makes a different sound. The sounds vibrate with our vibrations, and that can also help heal your chakras and put them in alignment. So I use crystals and the sound bowls to when I do Reiki, and Julie does too.
Yeah. Your body's natural tendency when you ring a singing bowl, for instance, is to try and raise its vibration to match the pitch of what it's hearing in that sound. So essentially by ringing that bowl at a certain frequency, your body is naturally also raising its vibrations.
And each bowl has a different vibration. So you just have to figure out the right vibration for whatever chakra is out of alignment.
Right.
Now, the chakra bowl, the singing bowls that I have are all, they have the chakra color on them. So that's easy for me to figure out. I don't pick the wrong one. But, they make all different kinds of bowls. But I chose the chakra ones because I really like the fact that they had the chakra colors on the outside of them. But you use whatever if they come in with a problem, say, oh my gosh, this is bothering me, or my stomach's bothering me, or in my case, my back all the time. Then you know what color to choose, to use with the crystal, the particular crystal that you want.
So I really like that because you also reminded me, we were talking about, my gal friend earlier, but she also gifted me a singing bowl.
Oh, they're
And
great.
I have it downstairs in our family room and, it's sitting up as decor. But I remember I used to just want to walk past and just like tap it every so often. And I can remember feeling that vibration and always feeling better for
Yeah.
reasons which I could not explain, right?
Yep.
After I tapped and sort of had that moment with it, shall I
Yes.
say.
It's all about the
Mhm.
vibrations. Yep. It's all about the
Absolutely.
vibration. Everything
Mm.
on earth has vibrations.
I
Everything on
know.
earth has energy, and we're just tapping into it to try and make ourselves feel better.
Yeah.
It
I feel like
works.
we maybe have not even scratched the surface. I feel like there's so
No,
much
I'm sure we
yeah.
haven't. I'm sure.
Yeah.
In my third book, I use a shaman, and a shaman is a mystical, magical man who
Uh-huh.
taps into all of those things. And
Mm.
when I was doing my research for the shaman to use him in my book, it's amazing, that these ancient, and I call them ancient because shamans have been around forever too. That they know so much and they've learned so much, and I just want to be like a sponge and suck it all up so I can know as much as
Mhm.
they do. Because it helps people, and that's what I wanna do. I wanna help people.
Yeah, I think at the end of that probably is, one of those common threads between all four of us, that we may have different approaches to it, but the goal is to really impact and elevate and have people really feel as though, they're bringing their best whole self to whatever environment they're in. So thank you
Absolutely.
so much for all
Absolutely.
of the information you've shared with us today.
And
It's
that's
been a blast.
probably, one of the number one things, you've mentioned about getting in touch with self. That's kinda like the number one thing that's wrong with today's world, isn't it?
Mm.
100%.
Mhm.
100%.
Uh-huh.
Like I was saying earlier, I think people are so, and I use the word conditioned. I don't know if that's the best word, but we were raised a certain way.
Mhm.
Religion maybe taught us a certain thing. Our teachers at school maybe taught us certain things, authority figures, and then just our life experiences in general. If I spoke up one time and got in trouble for it, that I may have carried that into adulthood, and now I'm afraid to speak my mind because these things are stored. They get stored in your body. They get stored in your nervous system.
Mhm.
So it truly is about getting to that point where you understand yourself. I mean, inside and out,
Mhm.
um, to be able to really recognize what works for you. And when we've been talking about all these modalities today, like Barbara, I know you love the aromatherapy. I have other clients that want all these singing bowls to be rung in during a Reiki session because they literally can feel the vibrations happening in their body. I have some that can't stand the singing bowls. It
Funny.
bothers their ears. So to me, again, it's just so much about knowing yourself
Mhm.
enough to know what it is you need to show up at your
Mm.
best. And
Yep.
that's different for everybody.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it depends on how you feel and what you want to feel. So if you can make yourself feel better, why wouldn't you wanna do that? And all these modalities help you feel better, as long as you believe in them and as long as you trust the process.
Mhm.
In
I think
today's
that's a
world. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Quincy.
I was just gonna say, I think that's a really great point because while there are so many ways for us to be able to improve or enhance our feeling of well-being and being self-aware, there are some people who are just unwilling, right, to take that chance of feeling better because I liken it to people who are sometimes scared of success, right? What if
Yeah.
I have to continue to do it?
Yes.
And that requires you also have to start to behave differently to that
Yes.
point, right? Because you are open and aware of a heightened vibration, a better way of being. So it's hard
Mhm.
to go back to that other place when you know there's something better out there.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I had mentioned, I think, at the beginning of this podcast about public speaking, and that
Mhm.
always has been something that has terrified me. I am talking in college, getting in front of a class and literally sounding like I was in the middle of running, right? My
Oh,
my breath would
mhm.
be so short. I became aware enough of that to know the only way I was going to be better at it, because I'm gonna have to do it in my career, right?
There you
I'm gonna
go.
have to do it. You have to speak publicly at some venture of your life, I'm sure at some time. I knew the only way I would get better at it is by doing it. So it's like crossing into those areas of I am so going out of my comfort zone, but the more I do it, the more confident I become, the
Yeah.
better I start to feel, the better I get at doing it. And now all of a sudden you have started to change a pattern in your life. I don't feel like I'm running a marathon anymore when I'm speaking in public. It's still a little nerve-wracking, but that feeling, my body is now telling me that what I'm doing right now is safe. Where many years ago with the anxiety, my body was saying, you run, you got to
Retreat.
run. Like,
Yeah.
this is
Flee.
scary stuff. Right.
Yeah.
So you can change that wiring. If you know enough about yourself and learn what it is you need, you can start to change that within your own body.
Yep.
Oh,
Just
wow.
love yourself and get to know
Yes.
what you want and what makes you
Right.
happy.
Yeah.
Yep.
I
Well,
love
that's
that.
a lot because we've been talking about our alignment. We've been talking about how crystals and Reiki and chakras, how they affect us emotionally, how we can turn something positive into a actual empowerment transformation, if you will, by mentally being connected to your body. And I think those are the things that we need to do more often as opposed to following some negative routes. Like,
Absolutely.
I understand a lot of people on social media aren't feeling good about themselves. A lot of people we talked during our crystal segment about how medication people use. And again, if somebody's working with a doctor, you don't want to stop taking whatever medication and start
Right.
doing crystals. It's not
Right.
what we're saying here, not at
Right.
all. But just consider it as an option to consider using these things to get in touch, to get grounded with yourself, because ultimately what we're looking for, I think, and this is a question to both of you speakers, what is the one thing you wish every woman understood about her own energy and power after we've discussed all this here?
Go
I
ahead,
would
Ju
definitely say if there's anything I would like women to understand, it is we do have some sort of control over our journeys, over how our lives go. We can continue to live in these modes where we constantly are feeling like life is happening to us, as opposed to us kind of taking the reins and saying, no, you know what? As a complement to whatever else I'm doing, I'm also going to work on myself. I'm going to drop that ego and look at myself in the mirror really deeply, be able to accept myself for the duality of who I am. I have good moments and I have bad moments, and that's all okay because I am still whole despite that.
Yep.
But I think understanding that you can create the life that you're talking about, the life that you say you wish you had, you have the ability to create that. You
Mhm.
truly do.
Just
And
choose
both
your
of
own
you talked about
destiny.
that.
Yep.
I'm sorry, Sandy.
Just choose your own destiny and follow that destiny. And sometimes it's hard. God knows I know that. But I keep plugging away. I keep plugging away because I know that I can do these things. I am woman, hear me roar. But and you need to accept that. You need to accept that you are a powerful person and that all these different things that we've been talking about today can help you achieve your goals, and just keep plugging away. That's what I'm doing. I'm just keep plugging away and nothing's going to slow me down.
And that's what all this is about, isn't it, Quincy? As we're going
Yeah.
through this journey on Optimize Her², what started out, we wanted to educate, elevate, and empower women. We wanted to have authentic conversation that are relevant to women today. And that's basically what we've delivered through your introduction of this amazing topic, crystals, chakras, and Reiki. And you got to start.
Yeah. It reminds me, I'm sitting here and I'll say this in a very joking way, but it gives me the energy of I want to go out and be like Thanos and start collecting like infinity stones, right? And just really thinking about, how can I move myself forward? And Julie and Sandy, as you both were talking, a lot of the work that I do is centered around helping and inspiring women to use their voice, to unmute their power, to get what you want. And I
Yeah.
just recently, as of like Thursday, I believe, had a woman tell me, she says, do you realize that what you're really doing is you're focused on the throat chakra? And I said, no, I hadn't really thought about it like that. And so for me, that's just also been able to have me open up what may be the possibilities of my business in a completely different way. So I'm excited to continue this conversation.
Had a podcast this morning, and one of the things somebody said to me is, they talked about, what are you going to do? You can't, we all have the same number of minutes, seconds, hours in a day, days of the week, etc. So how do you create more time? Well, of course you can't. You can't create more time, but this conversation has been a powerful reminder. And I wish we would have had this conversation, because I would enter into it about chakras and crystals and understanding Reiki. But fulfillment doesn't come from doing more. It doesn't come from adding more hours to your day, but by coming into an alignment, by self-awareness and connection to who you truly are. Because at the end of the day, I used to say, you lay down your head on your pillow with yourself, nobody else. It's just you in there. And at Optimize Her², that again is what our focus is about, is to educate, elevate, and empower women, and maybe provide a little bit of entertainment in there too. And it's conversations like this, no, truly. And you ladies are proof in that, all three of you, that as we come together, how we can make a difference. And I think it's important that we continue to share energy, how we can renew our energy, coming in alignment with self, and just picking up the phone or getting on a call like this and discussing this with someone else. And sometimes, as we discussed with Reiki, you can even do this over the phone, maybe not in person. If somebody's not there, it may not work for you. You may have to have an in-person Reiki session, but certainly you can do that with crystals.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Or come visit my crystal room and you'll feel great.
Yeah. And I think even with that too is, one of the great things I love about the podcast and the community that we're creating, right, is that, yes, we're getting the education and we're learning, but also we're having these conversations like in the day of light, right? I think sometimes these things happen very privately. I don't tell anyone I do Reiki because I don't want people to judge me. But no, I think it's something we need to bring to the forefront, because then we're under this sort of mask that, oh no, we just have it all figured out, when you may not realize I get up, twice a week to do a 20-minute Reiki session with someone to help make sure that I'm clear and I'm bringing my best self. And those are all processes and protocols that help me be the best when I show up for whatever the thing is that I do that day.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You have to do what's good for you, and don't listen to the naysayers, because there's always going to be naysayers out there that they're going to try to change your mind. Believe me, when I started collecting crystals, everybody told me I was crazy. My husband still tells me I'm crazy, but you know what? I don't pay attention to that, because you have to do what makes you feel good and what makes you whole. That's what it's all about.
Yes.
Yeah,
So this is really exciting as we're closing out here. I think before we leave, if there's anything in this episode, I think we want to stress with you, and we stressed earlier, if there's anything that resonated with you in this episode, perhaps you want to get in touch with Sandy or Julie. And if you don't mind taking a moment to just reflect, as Julie said, you may have been disconnected, felt disconnected, and, focus on what it might look like if you can pull yourself out of that. Sometimes you need the help of others. And Sandy, if you want to give your contact information so that if people want to get in touch with you to become reconnected, how could they do that?
They can reach me either at my website, which is the www.sandybottom.com, right? And then my email is sandybottom@gmail.com. So they can reach me any of those places, and I'll be more than happy to get back with you right away.
You know, there's a drink out there called Sandy Bottom, right?
I know. You guys got it for me one time when we went to the salt spa. It was really good too.
Others, our viewers may not know that, but yeah, it was really funny. My daughter Tara named her Sandy Bottom when we were in Aruba one time.
And it was a perfect name for my website. It's just perfect. So I thought, you know what?
Funny.
The crystals are found at the bottom of the earth. So that's why I named my business that.
Lovely.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
And
There's
Julie,
a-
I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead. I was just going to say really quickly, there is a restaurant out here. So in case we all, get together and be in one location in Scottsdale, and it's called the Salt Cellar. And you actually walk sort of underground and have your meal in the earth, they say, right? But
Wow.
it's a good
That's
time.
so
Yeah.
cool.
You feel
Love it.
very different the moment you go down. Yeah, you walk
Oh,
down.
I believe it. I believe it. When we
We
go to the
visit
salt
salt
spa, we
spas out here.
feel that too.
Yeah. Yes.
And
Mhm.
Julie, how should they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so they can visit me on my website, www.loveyourselffirstshop.com. If anyone's interested in Reiki, they can book Reiki sessions right on my website too, distance or in person. Or you can reach me over email, which is loveyourselffirstshop@gmail.com.
Love it, love it, love it. Thank you so much, ladies. Quincy, for joining us from Arizona on practically the other side of this big rock that we share and live on. Really appreciate all that. Stay well, ladies, and we will, I'm sure, be in communication in the very near future. Stay well.
Thank you. Thank you.